Welcome back. This is Fantastic Beans and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
And I'm not Karina.
But we're here together.
As usual.
For more fun times and shenanigans. If this is your very first time joining us, welcome to the show. This is our sibling duo podcast / YouTube channel about life with chronic and invisible illnesses, including those mental and emotional.
I'm mental and she's emotional.
Indeed. Where can they find us?
Oh, you can find us everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts while it exists.
Yep.
Podbean and the little sites.
Mm-hmm.
Most places.
Yeah.
Just search Fantastic Pains.
We recommend YouTube. It gets silly.
Mm-hmm.
We're highly expressive and nonsensical, so tune in.
Well, and sometimes I insert funny things, you'll see.
Like this.
Oh, God, no more work. More work. Look at the thing.
There's nothing there.
It's just a big question mark. What?
404.
You can also join the fun at our Discord if you wanted to explain that.
Yes. Our Discord is a wonderful, lovely place where you can get in contact with all of our wonderful, lovely people. Looking for advice or just general support. You can also join our lives through Discord and voice chat with us while we shoot those.
Yep.
It's a good time. You can also make topic suggestions.
Oh, yes.
For our episodes. And find our links for our Amazon affiliate.
Yep.
And Patreon.
Support the podcast if you can. Please, It would help.
Yeah. Good
we
stuff.
did it. We're dying out here. I'm fine.
We're just trying to grow. That's where we're at.
Truth.
These days.
So share it with a friend.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
On that note, we're going to follow up last week's episode in a little bit of a different direction. This was a suggestion that we kind of had to roll around to check all the angles and figure out how we wanted to attack it. And it'll be a really interesting one to kind of walk through. I'm excited, but a little unsure.
Yes, it'll be good. And it was suggested by a friend of podcast, Yeti.
Yes.
So thank you, Yeti. It was great.
Yeah, it was good stuff. But before all that, it is time for the weekly recap.
Check in.
It was a week.
Yeah, you didn't have school this week.
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about?
I was on break. It was great.
Let me guess. You were sick?
I was
You
sick.
chored? You worked on your podcast?
Yep.
You spent time with your husband?
Yep.
Like,
that's it. All right. You got it. Your turn.
I was sick. I did my chores. I worked on the podcast, and I spent time with my family. I mean, it was a week. We got like really sick at the mid part of the week.
Right. It was like Wednesday, Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We got just knocked out. I don't know what happened or what it was, but it's going around too because my husband's friend had it too.
Yeah.
Where it was just like super painful in the jaw and the neck and like up in the head.
Yeah.
Like crazy tension headache stuff. Followed by like cold flu symptoms.
If you remember last week, the second half of the episode, I was seeing auras.
Yeah.
Like really bad.
You had a migraine.
I had a mega migraine. It lasted 2 days.
Yes.
I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't look at things. I was just like, don't want to exist right now.
Yeah. He thought he was going to have to go to the ER. And I was literally sitting here like, is it an aura?
Once you said aura, it clicked.
Boom.
I was like,
and
oh,
then
yeah.
Migraine came into play.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was like watching the Tesseract in the MCU, just like prisms and shapes. And I was like, what the?
He had sacred geometry on the outside of his vision. And then we got fevers.
Yeah, and then we got sick.
Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. I had to take the hot bath route a couple times where I was like, my body doesn't know what temperature is. We're going to have to hit the hard reset by burning it to death.
Comment if that's something that works for you guys. Like if that's a thing, like, cause it works for both of us where it's like overloaded stimuli, time to burn it. And then you like reset for a bit.
I don't know what it is either. Cause you get out and you're overheated cause you were just in the hot tub. And then as you cool down, your body goes back to like some kind of normal equilibrium. I don't know what it is or why it works, but it's just one of those things we picked up over time.
Yeah, if it's not something you've done, try it. Like next time you're feeling like generally like what were the symptoms that like go with it? Like
okay, so I get like really flushed.
Yeah.
My face gets really puffy and swollen and painful.
MCASy stuff.
My neck gets all like my whole chest and my neck get all red. I'm putting out heat like that nobody's business.
When I'm a furnace, yeah.
Yeah.
Like when it's to the point where you roll over.
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I'm burning myself.
Yes.
Like, because it's that hot. You have
or
that
like
moment of
the
like,
heat
oh.
trapped between you and your clothing
Yep.
is too much, and you're like, it's gross. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I was like, burn.
Yeah, no.
Fix it.
I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to loosen it up because I had a like really
Yeah.
bad phlegmy buildup for a day.
Mm-hmm.
For a day. Like it
Yeah.
it came and went.
Because I sneezed the whole time. The whole time sneezed my brains out.
Yeah.
The whole time. And now I'm gonna probably lose my voice here and there. So excuse me, I'm sorry.
That might happen to me too.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hydrating so much.
Yeah, I'm like coffee, drink it.
What else? We were sick.
Mm-hmm.
We did some podcast work, which was really fun.
Yes, which was really good.
We took some FAFO. We're gonna find out now.
Yep. I had therapy.
Oh, that's right. She almost missed therapy.
Yeah. It's because they keep rescheduling it and not telling me about it, and then I'm like, I don't know what time. And so yeah, I had therapy in my pajamas, like fresh out of bed, greasy hair. It was.
I've done that, but with
bad.
like Dr. Anna, who wasn't gonna judge me. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah. Just fun times. It was good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's been a week. It wasn't as productive as I wanted it to be.
No,
I was
but
like, I didn't vacuum. I didn't clean my house.
you did rest.
Yeah.
Like,
which I needed
right.
a lot. So I'm glad I did that.
And I can tell that you needed it because you didn't bemoan it the whole time.
Right.
It wasn't one where you're like, oh, I wish I was doing stuff. I need
Right.
to do stuff. It was more like you were just chilling. Like,
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to just hang.
Yeah.
And watch horror movies because that's what I did all
I
week.
got her on a kick.
It was good stuff.
God.
So I'm watching Saw.
When you get to 10,
Mhm.
come over because we have it
Mm.
and we can watch it.
Yes.
And it's good. It's not as good as like number one. The first Saw is always going to be
Yeah.
classic. Some of them get
Well,
kind of close. But
It also just has, Wesley in it. So
yeah,
you can't go wrong.
Yeah,
Doesn't
fair.
he pop back up later?
Yeah.
Okay.
he comes back.
That's what I thought.
What else? That was it.
Yeah.
And we did the lives.
Mhm.
Thank you everyone who attended.
Yes.
Yesterday and this morning.
Those were awesome. It's always such a good time
Yeah.
to get to hang out with everybody. And new people too, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. It was fun. So, yeah, it was a week.
Twas.
It was not the week we wished it was, but you know what? We got a lot done and we got some rest.
Yeah.
Which is what counts. Today, yes, so following up the empathy trap. How do you want to get started?
Okay. Let's quick summarization of last week if you missed it.
Yeah.
We were talking about how through trauma and through chronic illness, we develop a hypersensitive view of people. Like we're more attuned to notice the small things in people,
Right.
and catch like vibes almost.
Micro expressions,
Right.
and body language and just general behavior because we are naturally tracking those things.
Mhm.
And so we tend to pick up on more than other people do.
Right.
And then we bemoan it when other people do not pick up on those cues from us.
Right. Exactly. And so that was all self-oriented.
Mhm.
Now we're applying it to what do you do when you have problems and you notice other people are going through stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't know.
Right.
Or, they might be in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Or they might not. And how do you balance taking care of yourself and helping them?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to get into.
Right. Especially in the chronic illness, supporting
Oh,
chronic
God.
illness. It gets a little complicated and sticky.
And it's so funny because it should be really simple. Because at least for us, I'm
Uh-huh.
just using us as like a baseline.
Yeah.
We look at other people, we don't judge them.
No.
It's like, oh, you have chronic illness. I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Even if it's like, just MCAS. Like,
Right.
dude, that sucks.
Right. Right. We've never approached something like, oh, you just have MCAS.
Right.
You should live in my world where
But then
blah,
when
blah,
you're
blah,
when
blah,
you're
blah.
thinking about it like internally,
Mhm.
you're like, oh God, everyone's judging me for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're worried about how they're interpreting you.
Right.
When you're out there being just a lovely person and they're just reciprocating.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh my God.
They're mad at me.
Yeah.
Everybody's mad at me.
All the time.
Constantly, forever.
But yeah, the what was the root? The root of this was how to take care of yourself while taking care of others.
Yeah.
So we were gonna get into like noticing first because it's something that that we don't notice that we do even.
Right.
Like until you sit down and like analyze your own behavior, which
Yeah.
I don't know how
We
many people do that.
that.
We do, yeah. But
It's not really fun, but
no. But like you'll notice something. If someone's having an off day, you can tell.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And you can usually, if you've had casual conversations, you can piece together what the problem is before they even know it.
Well, and that's the other part is we turn into these like weird data collecting computers that filter things through pieces of our brains that we don't even have access to. And then they're like, here, I got you this result.
Yeah.
And you're like, but how? Why? What is that? Why is it correct?
You're like, Gregory's really sad about his mom. What? You good, bro?
Is your mom okay?
What's going on?
And then they start crying and you're like, oh no.
Right.
I'm so sorry I asked. Now that happens to me quite a bit.
Right.
So recognizing other people and what they are going through, especially because we have these like camps of behavior that we kind of jump in on, right? Where we have the crisis where we are very comfortable in crisis just because of our background in trauma, right? That's what we grew up in. We're good with chaos.
Yeah, and that makes sense for people with chronic illness too, because you have emergencies all the time. You're used to like going to the hospital for things, or
and you're used to like calming other people down about your own condition.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, for example, I had a coworker who passed out right before I got to work one time.
Yep.
And I walked into the building and they were calling 911 and they were like, she passed out. She just like went down. And I was like, cool, I got this. And so I walked into the hallway and I pulled her head into my lap and I sat and I talked to her and I kept her still.
Yep.
And that was just you jump into the role that needs to be filled because you know how to go about handling a crisis without it being like the most chaotic thing in the world and screaming and yelling and people like fainting and weird stuff.
Yeah. The way people who've never been through anything experience it. Yeah. It's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first time I saw a girl faint, I was like, is she dead, guys? Because we were in gym. It was in middle school. This poor girl was overheated.
Oh, no.
We were inside even, but we were doing we were playing with beer goggles. You know, like, now you know what it's like being drunk.
Yeah.
And then I walked a perfectly straight line and they like, what are you, an alcoholic? And I was like, no,
I'm just
I
dizzy.
closed my eyes.
Smart.
Like, I know that the external input is wrong. I'm just going to close my eyes and walk.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I got shit for that for a long time.
What are you, an alcoholic in middle school? You know?
No, I'm
but
a
yeah,
hominid. No.
And I think about like when something happens with us and other people might interpret it as crisis and we have to calm them down and be like, no, this is just a thing. It's fine. Like when I went tacky at work.
Oh, yeah.
And by tacky, I mean like my heart rate went out of control. I was at like 152.
Didn't it climb after that? Like it peaked and then, God.
It peaked at like 160 while I was on my back with my legs up on a chair.
Right. Actually, no, you were running. Clearly, you were doing. Your body thought you were in a marathon.
My body was confused.
It's crazy, dude. So, like her heart rate doesn't make sense.
No,
it's like it's on a 30-second delay.
Oh yeah, constantly. Like even all of my trainers have been like, none of this makes sense. You did the like work.
You did all the effort.
You stopped doing all the work, and now your heart rate is climbing.
Right, you're sitting there like calm and then you're like, what's going on? You okay?
Weird. But yeah, like having to keep calm in a crisis, trying to keep ourselves calm, because I don't know if you know, but in EDS, at least for us, it's very rarely a true emergency.
Oh no, God.
And so we have to play the game of filter back and forth of like, is this something to be concerned about? Did I pull a muscle? Is this something that I should be like going to the hospital for? Am I nauseous? Like,
oh my God, the worst.
What are we doing
when you dislocate something badly or sublex and you know it's off, and then you set it, but it doesn't feel right, and like it still hurts, and you're like, well, okay, I'd like to get imaging to know that I put it back right, because if it's out and I'm walking on it, it's gonna be worse. But you go in and then they do the imaging, like everything's fine.
And they're like, why are you here? And you're like, well, my thumb is still super swollen, so I wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Exactly.
And they're like, we're going to give you a referral. And I'm like, I don't want your stupid referral. It's
Well,
my
then
right
it
hand and I need it.
ends
Thank
up on
you.
your record as like negative behavior, like attended for
Yes.
nothing. It's like, but I was sent. I always wait for the nurse line to tell
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
If I called the nurse line and I describe everything, I'm like, you need to go in. Then
Yeah.
I show up and I'm like, nurse line told me to come in
Right.
because I am not going on my own.
Well, and that's why, like, I haven't treated my ear infection because I'm still
Yeah.
waiting. I have to wait a long enough period between my wrist and getting the ear infection treated.
Her hospital stays are on cooldown.
Uh,
She'll be able to activate hospital again in the near future.
I've got to wait for my stamina to rebuild.
Exactly. Get all your stats back up and then you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
But you'll be fine by then. So
Oh, so dumb.
but yeah, so like it's one thing to do the crisis containment stuff because it's
Right.
easy for us like you just go into
Yeah.
business mode.
Yeah.
You don't even think about like, oh, I'm in pain, oh, this or that.
No, there's stuff to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to do the stuff that needs to be done.
But then what do you do when you know someone's in like crisis but they're quietly in crisis and they might not even
Right.
know
Right.
that they'll be in
Yeah.
like a really sour mood. They won't know why.
Yeah.
I do this with Jen all the time. Like Jen will have emotions and then I have to be like, hey, I'm a mirror. You good? And she's like, why? And I'm like, because you're not doing so good.
That you said.
Is it this
that.
thing that you were talking about earlier? Yeah. It's like, okay.
I do that with my husband, but usually it's like, what's wrong? Nothing. 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 I'm sad about this thing that happened 2 days ago that I didn't tell you about.
I
Yeah.
literally had this conversation with Jen 2 days ago. I was in bed and I was
Yeah.
laying down and I just rolled over and I was like, Jen, I'm sad. And she was like, about what? And I was like,
I don't
know. And it wasn't a manic sad. It was just, I think the depression was leaking through as it do. Because it wasn't manic. I know what that feels like. It was just like, I was like, and then she was like, oh, I forgot to give you your antidepressant.
No.
It's like, oh,
The depression was leaking through.
it was leaking.
Yeah. But it's hard because we have to be careful. We always say, like, we're not morticians.
Exactly.
We have to be careful to not present ourselves as a medical authority
Mhm.
in any situation, even if we're like pretty sure, bro.
Right.
Like,
no.
I've had coworkers who are like, is this where my heart is? Like, I feel like I have like heart pain. It's heart pain. It's heart pain. And I'm like, do this. And he goes, oh my God. And I'm like, it's a muscle.
Mhm.
But you still have to be like,
Not a
it
mortician.
might be a muscle. I have
Right.
felt things that are similar to that, and this is connected here. But if you're still worried about it,
Yeah.
you should probably still go get it checked out.
Here's a really fun example of why you need to be explicit about that. Friend of podcast Kaylee
Mhm.
and I we were going to her house. We were walking into her house to do game night one night.
Yeah.
And she was really excited to see me, so she ran outside, and there was nothing but black eyes.
Oh no!
So she ate it hard, and her ankle snapped, like
no.
instant swollen, very big. We get her inside, and we have it elevated, and Carrie
Yeah.
comes in, and he's looking at it. He's a sports medicine guy, so he's not completely out of the loop, but
Right.
he looks at it, he messes with it, and he's like, I'm not a doctor, but I don't think it's bad. And she just took that as like the word. She went in a week later and there was a nasty fracture.
Yep.
And it hadn't healed because she didn't take the time to go in.
Right.
So you got to be careful about how you approach certain things.
Right.
Because you don't want to be doling out bad advice.
Right. You don't want to be the reason somebody misses something.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like, I always remind myself of those like incognito things that go on, like appendix, for
Right.
instance, that could be like, oh, it's just a muscle. Oh, it's just a whatever. It's just a whatever. It's
Yeah.
just a whatever. And then suddenly you're like, haha, we're septic. I'm not trying to get on you about being septic. Okay. I'm sorry.
I just gave the camera a little twinkle. Like,
His trauma twinkle. Traumatized eye twinkles,
it's fine.
It's fine. But we make a point of like, I'm not a mortician.
That's why it's morticians.
We're not morticians.
We're not doctors, and we're definitely not morticians.
Yeah.
So we can't help you if you die.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like we try to come at it from the angle of like, this is our life experience.
Mhm.
This is what I know about my body. Your body might be behaving similarly,
Right.
but it's your body, not my body. And you should be taking the appropriate care regardless of what I can say to you.
hmm
Because I can only say so much.
Well, and okay, so we've kind of been filtering all this through like just if you're normal, like if you're having a good pain day or whatever.
Right.
But there are going to be times when you have to take care of yourself first, or
Yeah.
know when to not get involved because it wouldn't be healthy for you. That's a big one for me, is knowing not to get involved in some stuff
Right.
because of just trauma or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I think that we've also learned, switching gears to like the emotional stuff, right?
Yeah.
The mental emotional stuff. I think we've also learned that people have to come to conclusions
On their own.
on their own
Yeah.
through, not necessarily alone, but they have to come to those conclusions themselves.
Mhm.
You can't just be like, oh, I know exactly where you're coming from. I've been there. Here's the solution.
Right.
And have them accept that as the
No.
solution. Like I remember for a very long time, my brother-in-law was depressed
Yeah.
and had been for a while. And we would have talks. And every night I'd be like, bro, you're depressed. Bro, you're depressed.
Yeah, but
Bro, you're depressed.
he
Bro,
wasn't,
you're depressed.
He wasn't in a
He
space
wasn't
to hear it.
ready
Yeah.
to take that on and deal with that. And so nothing happens. And it's not my job to make something happen
Right.
either. I can only say that sounds like depression and you should
Right.
probably talk to
Well,
somebody.
and think about how bad that could have gone. Like if you had to keep
Oh,
pushing,
God,
if you
if
thought
I-
it
Yeah.
was your crusade to like fix him.
Yeah.
And then that would have been, there's so much conflict there.
Yes. Oh, there's already conflict because when you see things that other people are not ready to address,
Yeah.
they tend to become awkward around you.
Yeah.
And he was mean to me for a long time. Like we stopped connecting
Right.
and he got really like standoffish, which makes sense when you're like we've all done it. We've all had something that we're like running from in our own mind.
Yeah.
Something that we're not ready to address, but when people remind us of those things, we tend to like shy away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, don't push it. And then like you said, like knowing how to take care of yourself and or knowing whether or not you should be involved at all
Right.
is a whole other thing, because with the empathy, we want to be like, I've been there. I know what you're feeling and you're not alone. You don't have to be alone. Please stop making yourself be alone.
Exactly.
But if they're not ready, they're not ready.
Right.
And you can't make them be ready. And you can't bludgeon them with information to make them be ready to address it.
Right. It's not like you're in a debate. You're not trying
No.
to win here.
Right.
It's they'll come to the conclusion. You can keep them, you can support them
Yeah,
to get to the conclusion, but you
Yes.
can't force them into it. Like
exactly.
just be there for them however you need to be, however they need
Yeah.
you at that moment.
Yes.
Instead of being like, you know what, I know exactly what's wrong. Because
Well, because then what we're doing is not only are we not listening, because everybody's situation is unique.
Mhm.
Whether or not we've all, like, you line up 10 people and they all have depression, their symptoms are probably going to be different.
Mhm.
And their, like, external factors are going to be different.
Oh yeah.
And if we ignore those factors, we are invalidating their experience.
I was gonna say exactly. Like you can have experienced the exact same situation,
Yeah.
but their life view and what they've been through molded them into a completely different person.
Yes.
So they handle it completely different.
Right.
So it's like you'd be like, I get it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Right.
But you can't be like, oh, that's so simple. Why don't you just do this?
Exactly. Well, and it's that, like, empathy versus fix it.
Yes.
Because sometimes you want to be able to fix it, right?
Mhm.
You want to be like, oh, this is so simple. We could just fix it by doing blah, blah, blah. But you have to approach it from the empathy angle
Yeah.
if you're going to approach it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you said, sometimes we have to remove ourselves. And that
Yeah.
tends to be when people are making more unhealthy choices
Right.
or indulging in things that are triggering for us personally.
Right.
And then again, like, be responsible for your stuff. If you are triggered by that, that's your job to deal with that,
Mm-hmm.
not other people's job to, like, move around your triggers. Ugh. So if it's triggering for you, maybe take the time to step away from that.
Or get someone else that's like a third party involved.
Yeah.
Be like, I've done this with Jen before. I've been like, Like 2 years ago when we first started the podcast, you had something going on and I couldn't address it. I had to have Jen do it because I was like, I'm not ready.
It's too triggering.
It was, I would have gone, like, I would have deep ended.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, Jen? Here's my thoughts.
Mm.
Can you articulate and expand on this? And I'm just going to not be, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is entirely fair. And, like, that doesn't mean that we weren't close in other aspects at the time.
No,
like,
yeah.
It wasn't like you had to walk away from me entirely.
No.
I may have just wiped makeup all over my face.
I think you're good. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, ah.
No, but it was really hard because it was like, I felt like I was letting you down somehow.
Right.
Which wasn't the case,
No.
but it, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm the worst. Like, I'm making Jen do this for me. What was wrong with me?
No.
When really it was the healthier decision because
Yeah.
it would have just triggered me into a spiral. And then you have two people that are not,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Well, and then God help you if you have two people drowning who are trying to help each other. Like, it's
That's not
not
gonna work.
working well. We're
No.
both still drowning.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need that. Like, if you can't jump in to save them, you probably shouldn't go and try because now
Yeah.
you're both drowning, and it's not a fun time for anybody.
Yeah. Well, and it's so hard too to remove yourself from a situation that you
Yes.
want to be involved in
Right.
because you want to help.
Mhm.
Like, if you care,
Right. Well, and sometimes it is that thought process of like, well, but if I don't get involved, does that mean that I'm a bad person or a
Right.
bad friend or that I'm not supporting them and I'm not like whatever.
right? Am I selfish? Am I
Yeah.
being, you know, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm looking after me. Well,
Right.
bro, I've been there.
Well, and I've had to do it with like friendships a lot where it's like you are making choices that are triggering for me and choices that I can't be around because I don't want to risk that backslide
Yeah.
that you are indulging currently. I love you and I'll be here on the other end.
Right.
When you are done with the like exploring your rock bottom options, I'll be here.
Right.
But I don't want to be involved in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what do you do in the situation where it's not triggering you and it's something major? Like, how do you approach someone in crisis
Mm.
who doesn't know they're in crisis and help them through it?
Yeah.
Without without laying down like you're depressed. Get your shit together. Like,
I usually go with like the modeling route
right.
because it's less threatening. First of all, I'm not approaching them and being like, you have feelings. It's like, I'm gonna sit next to you and I'm gonna tell you about
The time I had feelings.
or like what I'm experiencing or like what I'm watching you go through really reminds me of this thing that I went through and that was really hard for me. And like,
Yeah.
you take the time to model the explicit communication.
Yep.
You take the time to model the emotional thinking. You take the time to model the conclusions that you come to draw,
Mhm.
and then you leave it in their hands.
Right. That's hard when you
Yeah.
get to the point when you have to like back off and let
Yeah.
them do them. That's just the hardest part because
Right.
it's like sink or swim, and you have to do it on your own.
Right.
I'm just gonna watch. I'm sorry.
Because sometimes you have to just be like, I've modeled out all of what I have to say and the things that I can give you, and be like, listen, if you ever want to talk about anything,
Mhm.
like I'm literally right here,
Yeah.
and I'm never going to judge you for anything. And please understand that I've been through similar things and I know where you're at. And like, I'm here if you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But then you have to walk away because it has to be their choice.
Yeah.
And we can't be judging their choices either in this like right or wrong manner because again, like everybody has to take a different road to get to where they're going.
Yeah. Well, and that's when you start moralizing it, right?
Yes.
Like, I failed to do this. Now I'm a bad person. Like,
Right.
no, you helped your friend.
Yeah.
You're being healthy for yourself.
Yes.
Whatever decision you take, you're doing. You know,
Right.
you're not being bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
These
unless
are-
you are. If you're being like, if you're a villain and you're out there like, would you be there for me if I was really depressed? And you're like, no. I want to be at your funeral knowing that I could have done something.
I hope you reach out to me so
I
I can
can-
ignore you.
Exactly. That's villainhood for you. But otherwise,
Don't do that. Okay. But yeah, like offer them chances for normalcy too.
Mhm.
Because that's really a big thing when we know somebody is going through something really difficult and they're still hell-bent on like masking it and not accepting any support and not requesting support because they're not ready to deal with it.
Right.
we can just offer them the safety of when you're ready to fall apart, we'll be here
Right.
to help you pick up the pieces. But then you offer them some chances for like normal interaction.
Right.
Because God help us if there's one thing we all hate, it's pity.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. And it works too. I think we've been talking a lot about the emotional aspect of it, but it works if you're talking about someone that, you know, with a chronic condition, and if they're having a bad time, like this what always bothers me is that I wish I could just intervene somehow.
I know,
right? Like you want so badly to be like, I know everything is horrible right now, and it feels like a forever problem, but it won't be.
Right. But there are times where you literally, if you said, I know this is hard, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
Someone's going to punch you in the face one day.
Oh my God, dude.
And we've been there. We've been in the like, I'm not ready to hear that.
Exactly.
I'm ready to be angry about my current situation.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. I need to explore and validate this emotion
I was gonna say,
before I'm ready to tackle
That's
the
because
problem.
we're tackling it in a healthy manner, though.
Yeah.
We're not like ignoring, like forcing the anger, like not letting go of it.
Yeah.
You can get stuck in that. Like, I'm mad about this and I'm not going to let it go. It's not fair.
Right.
Like,
well, it's like we've talked about where like anger becomes like a piece of armor.
Yeah.
Right. Like the anger is safer than the other like negative emotions.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Not falling into a rescuer role.
Aha.
This is yes. I've known a lot of people that have that complex.
Yeah.
Where,
oh my gosh.
If there's any strife or something that they could jump in on and be like, "Oh, I'm there to help you."
Yeah.
It's like, guy.
Well, it's like the white knight complex.
Yes.
Right? Where you're just like, I'm here to save you. And people are like, go away.
Right? God, and in chronic illness, it's the most annoying. Like, I've had one interaction with a doctor where they were going to save me from my horrible, like, everything I did. Because they were looking at my entire, like, medical background. And they were like, oh, I can't believe you've done that. And then this, who would do that to you?
Oh, no.
And they were like, I know how to fix you. And it started to turn into something like a certain set of supplements. And then, you know what I mean? They were coming.
An agenda.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much.
Yeah.
Very much so. But they were like, oh, someone I can rescue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
It's not healthy and it's not effective.
No. God, no.
Coming from a place where, like, I've worked in education for a very long time. And I've worked with students who have serious emotional disabilities for a very long time. And I've seen the savior complexes come out and come through.
Well, that's it. They come through, right? They don't last.
Well, they don't last because what happens is when the children start to outgrow the need for the rescuing, the rescuer doesn't know what to do.
Right.
When in reality, we're like, yeah, buddy, spread your wings and go. Like, awesome. But the rescuer role can put... I'm trying to find a way to, like, stifling, like, keep you from the growth.
Yes.
By... We've talked about the cage before, right? Like, it's that same cage. It's that same lockdown of you can't outgrow this tiny little space that you're being shoved into to fulfill someone else's need to feel needed, wanted, and important. Because at that point, you're fulfilling your own needs and
you get
not
into like
theirs.
this weird cycle where you're taking care of them by letting them take care of you.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, I have a real problem and you feel like you have to fix me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pretend like whatever is working or, you know, you just masked so hard.
I hate that. I've done that before.
Right.
Where you're just like, yay, it worked. Now go away so I can take care of
but
myself.
Then they don't.
God.
Right.
It's like when people at churches are like, oh my God, you have an incurable illness. Let me lay hands on and cure you right now.
Turns out it was turn undead and I turn into dust.
Excuse me, what?
Sorry. No, anytime lay hands is always going to be like, I'm always going to be like, and now I'm dead because I'm a zombie.
Because I'm a zombie. But you know what I mean? Like, it's that, like, the pretentiousness of, because it's invalidating. First of all, to be like, oh, all of your problems can be solved with my will alone because I am special. And you're like, I've been dealing with this my entire life. Maybe go away.
Maybe stop now.
Shut up, please.
This isn't gonna work.
But make sure that when you are putting yourself in an assisting role, that you are doing it for that person and
Yeah.
not for yourself.
I've had to actually make that like call, like sit down and make like a genuine assessment, be like, am I doing this for me?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be like this weird self-serving, I absolutely need to help you, but
Am I fulfilling my needs through helping you?
right.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that conversation
Yeah.
with myself.
Mhm.
I'm not like, hey Jen, you want to hear some weird shit? So I got this
I was talking
inside
to
of
my
me. There are
brain.
2 wolves, and one's actually a duck. The duck died.
The other wolf ate
ate
the
the duck.
duck.
What do I do now?
She's like,
What?
do we need to go to the hospital?
Yeah, Chris is going off again.
Ugh, this is a weird conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, so make sure that what you are doing in the name of like offering help is really for them and not for you.
Mhm.
Because it's really easy to be like, I could fulfill my needs.
Yeah.
Because especially when you come from the background of the empathy trap, it's hard to feel like you are legitimately part of that group.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if you are, it's really hard to feel like you have a permanent place
Mhm.
that's not just whatever you can do for others.
Right. Oh my god, dude.
It's not a fun time,
Mm-mm.
but we have to be responsible enough to be able to make those calls and analyze our own behavior and our own motives.
Yeah. Which is weird because that's not something anyone's programmed to do.
No.
You don't go into a problem going, is this about me? Am I making this about me?
Am I making? Yeah, no. No. Don't do that.
Mm-mm.
Don't do it. And I mean, just if you need examples, look back on high school.
Oh god.
That's where we all should have gotten those like needs out of us.
Yeah.
By experimenting and seeing what was what and realizing that you can only control you and you can't control other people's behavior.
Yep.
And you can only give them what you can give them, and then you have to take your hands off of
That's
it.
okay. So the last 2 things before we go to break.
Yes.
Not having all the answers.
Yes.
Knowing that you might not have the answer.
Yeah.
Like you can have a similar experience, like we said earlier, but it might not be the answer.
Right.
Different person, different walk of life, different everything.
Yeah.
And then having the patience to know and to let it go, let it just walking away.
Right.
And
Well,
not
the patience
abandoning
to, because that's the thing. Like once you take your hands off, it's not like you're walking away from them and you're like, okay,
Friendship over.
bye. I gave you everything, and now you must figure it out on your own.
I'm off to save another person.
Goodbye. Our friendship was fun while it lasted. No, you. Again, you're giving them chances for normalcy, and
Yeah.
you're supporting them in the way that's healthiest and best for you, because it is important that you are a stable person prior to trying to stabilize other people.
Well, it's that you got to love yourself to love other people.
Yes.
Same with mental health. It's like what our grandfather says, and I love this,
Yeah.
is that he takes care of himself so he can take care of others.
Yes.
And you really do.
Great. Yeah. It's that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Well, and then the patience, because again, sometimes you have to watch them make the mistakes that you know they were going to make. And watch them walk into things that you knew were there.
Yeah.
And watch them make like the same mistakes you've made.
You know what's worse?
Huh.
When you do it to yourself. Has that ever happened? You're in a situation, right? And you have the moment of self-realization. You're like, I could have avoided this.
Oh yeah.
But I had to do it. I knew I had to experience this bad thing
Yes.
to know that it was the wrong answer.
Right.
I hate that.
But it's important.
It is.
It is important that we have those experiences. So
It's
yeah.
just rough, especially
is.
when you're watching people do something you just did, and you're like,
Right,
no.
and you're like, no, there's a hole that, the quicksand. Oh, you're in the quicksand.
The alligators too, bro.
Ooh, oh God, oh no. And then with people who are really close to us, sometimes we just have to watch them wander around the map, and you're like, hint.
I do. So this is really tough. I struggle with this part so hard with Sophie.
Oh yeah,
because
you want to give them the answers.
I do,
but
and I'll tell her. She'll be like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I know what's happening, and you need to learn.
Yeah,
like you need this experience.
Yeah,
but I just look out for this one thing. You know what I mean? It's like, please be careful.
Yeah,
give her like some padding, and then send her off.
Right. Yeah, you just because life is a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, at least, living outside of religion and more on like the spiritual side, but I'm not like crunchy granola spiritual, you know.
You're not from Boulder.
I'm not from Boulder, but I believe that we are here to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's like, it's not a true mistake if you can learn something from it.
Right. That's always been something I've taken to heart. Like,
yeah.
You are the sum total of your mistakes.
Right. Right.
It's not a good thing or a bad thing.
And you have a right to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
Because that's, for me, like, the whole summation of free will is like, those are my mistakes that I got to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to make them to become the person I am now.
Right.
And I am who I'm meant to be in this moment.
You sound like you just got out of a saw trap.
Yeah. I appreciate my life so much.
No, you know exactly what I mean, though. The survivors that actually like have a takeaway, they're like, oh my God, you're right. I lost both my arms and my left eye, but you know what? I am so grateful.
Yeah. I just have trauma for the rest of forever.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's so good. It's fun.
I'll never hear I want to play a game ever again the same way.
I'm not playing Monopoly. You just flip the board every time.
No!
Punch out whoever's asking you to play.
Who's the banker?
Exactly. On that note,
Yeah.
I think it's time to take a break. What do they need to do?
Venmo me
$1,000.
$1,000, please.
And then turn around and Venmo me like $40.
Oh, so you just want to be the nice one. Like, it's that offer up big so that you get what you want. Like, when you want something like, I need a raise, $10, and they're like, ha, no, and you're like, $5, and they're like, that's reasonable. When really it isn't.
No, it's not.
You're trying to pull that on me, make me look like the bad guy.
Okay, Venmo me $2,000. Okay,
thank you.
I mean, but it comes out to $3,000 total, and that's not great.
You're right.
Because we're doing
Don't
it together.
Venmo us.
Just don't
subscribe, like, share with your friends or family that need it.
And leave us a comment.
Yeah, join the community. A lot of people get a lot, I think, out of just hanging out and talking.
Yes.
Like, we're not always like, it's all about the chronic illness. We really just hang out and talk and hang out. So, yeah.
Yes.
Maybe hydrate or dihydrate.
Indeed. Drink some water. You need it.
Water.
It's important. Your whole body needs it for stuff and things. And you want to be able to do the stuff and the things.
Exactly.
And on that note, you need to have a snack because you are a snack and you deserve to have a snack. So eat that donut.
Oh, you have donuts.
I want a donut.
You didn't shit. I know some of you live in Colorado and are actually close enough to bring me donuts.
Bring me a donut. Dang it.
Just saying.
From the past.
Also,
bring me a donut.
Take a break if you need one. If you're in the middle of something and you need to take a break.
Yes.
Be nice to your body.
It'll be okay. You can always like come back to whatever you're doing. It'll be all good. Do something nice for you. Like go find some sunlight.
Yeah.
Because it's healthy. It's good for you. It helps you sleep.
Take your meds.
That too.
Take your meds. Do it. Karina.
I don't need to take meds. I'm good. It's 1:06. We're fine. I got an hour left.
I heard the alarm.
Take your meds.
Yeah, do it.
I know it was a weird. I'll explain it. It's an alarm that's meant to be ignored at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
have a break. We're gonna go do some of those things, and we'll see you in a little bit. Bye.
Oh hi. Do you like Fantastic Pains? Would you like to see more of the Fantastic Pains podcasting crew? If so, you should join our Patreon. The Patreon, as we like to call it, is the new home of our behind-the-scenes content, full uncut recording sessions, our short-form videos such as TikToks and YouTube Shorts, and our past live streams. You can also find some Patreon-exclusive content such as our new music reviews, lost episodes, and is the new home of our Mini Voices series, all of which can be found in our higher tier, dubbed The Only Pains. The Patreon is the best way to support the podcast, so whether you want to see more of us or just want to help us grow, feel free to sign up following the link in the description below, and hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the show. Welcome back. How was your break?
Did you do the things?
Some of them.
Hopefully.
The meds thing. Do that one for sure.
Yeah, do that. If you haven't done that, do that. We're gonna wait.
Just do it.
Patiently.
It's fine. It's fine. You know what? I'm drinking from my mic.
There's nothing behind the mic at all.
Nope. We got ice creams.
Yes, because I wanted something frozen. And I was like, I need something that is like sort of like water, but also frozen and tastes good.
Yeah.
And my husband was very sweet and went and got us some frozen stuff.
Yeah, he did.
Which was delicious.
Made
So
my
I'm a
day.
happy camper again.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I'm distraught, but it's fine.
He said he was happy, and then he was like, I'm never happy. So he's happy. Don't
I'm
believe
happy.
him. He's fine.
You can tell I'm happy because I deflected. Yeah, right?
Just,
Anyways,
ow.
in this half, we were going to talk about how to model supporting chronic illness sufferers as one.
Yes. Like, how do you, as someone who is chronically ill, support others who are chronically ill?
Not even just chronically ill, but I like to just be open.
Mhm.
And I really shut down the comparative suffering all the time.
Yes. Oh my
All the time.
God.
I'll see it in people. Like, we'll be talking, they'll be like, oh man, I'm so tired from it. And then they'll stop, or this, you know what I
And
mean?
they're
There's
like,
like that awkward, like,
oh,
I'm like, no,
oh.
it's your experience. This
Yeah.
is, if you feel that way, you feel that way.
Yes.
I understand. It's not a
Right.
competition.
Right.
You're not
Well,
going to
and-
out EDS me or something.
You have no chance.
It'll never happen.
I am perfectly secure in my EDS-ness. You have no shot.
No
Continue with whatever it was you were saying. No.
shot. But I mean, that's
I know what you mean.
right. Like that's how I do it. It's because I do it with the kids all the time.
Yeah.
Sophie, I had a really in-depth discussion with Sophie about this the other day, actually, where she hurt her knee really bad. Like she was
Yeah.
running and she like scraped it. Here's a road rash. It's like this
Ooh.
big on her knee, right?
Ow.
And she was like bending, it hurts, and she was,
Yeah.
and I was like, I know it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, this is your bed, and I'm giggling because to me, if that were me, I would power through it.
Right.
But I'm not saying you're not being tough by reacting to it. Like, it's fine.
Right.
This is your experience. I'm not
Right.
like, I care about you, damn it. And then Jen
Yeah.
was really mean about it. Jen
Aw.
was like, just suck it up. And I was like, hey, no. If it sucks, it sucks. When's the last time she got one of those?
Right.
Never.
Right. And she's not a kid who's like out there milking it.
No.
No.
Absolutely not. Dude, it hurt so bad she couldn't get food for herself.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
no.
She's like, I want a sandwich, but I don't want to get up. I was like, oh, it's legit then. If you can't get to food, you're not faking it. If you do it alone, and if you do it and you can't eat,
Yep.
it might be real.
We also have to remember that, like, living with EDS, we are, how do I put this? We're a little bit self-destructive out of necessity.
Yeah. Because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do anything.
Right. So we sacrifice some self-preservation for functionality.
Right. Because like you could be so mindful in everything that you do that you would you could probably get everything done. Let's say you were being super mindful and being really aware of your movements and making good healthy decisions, right?
Yeah.
It would just take you forever to do anything, and you don't always have the the
Spoons.
yeah, exactly, the spoons to do it.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I could dislocate my arm taking down the blankets at the end of the day.
But then I'd take down the blankets and, you know,
Right.
the blankets would be done.
That's how it works.
Yes. No, I get it.
It and it's part of, I mean, we could kind of talk about that. Like your experiences that you've been having with your pain medication.
Oh, yeah.
Like the morning
Yeah.
of the, like, I
Yeah.
could do so much.
So, yeah, let's back up a little bit. So I've been, so my face had been super active.
Yeah.
I had to have that second oral surgery, and it had gotten to a point where I was like super miserable in the middle of the day.
Yep.
And so because I was like, I can't leave work all the time, I have to power through, I wound up medicating at work a few times, and then realizing how much easier the second half of my day was in general. Like, my mood was not something that I had to like keep in check all the time. Like, initiation of tasks was incredible. Like, and it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm in pain, so I don't initiate tasks.
No,
it's literally that, like, when I am medicated, my brain is able to go, okay, there's not so much fog in here.
Yeah.
We can initiate a task without calculating how much it's going to cost.
Right. You're not assessing
then-
everything as a threat.
Exactly.
So you could just get it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard to be like, oh my God, if I was medicated, I could get stuff done. I could clean my house.
Yeah.
I could not live in depression house. I could play with my dogs. I could come home and not have my day end because I finished work.
Yeah.
And we were talking to Nightshade this morning? Or Love and Light.
Love and Light this morning.
Love and Light this morning about how like we like to think we are functioning, like we're high functioning chronic illness sufferers, when in reality we are just barely scraping through our day.
Right.
We do work and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's all we can do. And so now I'm like, I'm having to rethink everything.
Yeah.
To try to figure out how I can have a quality of life.
Right.
On top of being a functional human being.
Yeah. And that struggle in general.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I went through the same thing at about the same age.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I don't want to have to do this, but
Yeah.
I could do so much.
Yeah.
Especially like when it came to the kids. There was so much guilt about anything that was
Right.
involving them. Like, I'm not playing with them enough. I'm not
Yeah.
engaged with them enough. I'm not, I come up with any excuse to
Yeah.
be mean to myself about how that went.
Yeah.
And then if I was medicated, it was so much easier. Like you said,
Right.
you
It
just do
happens.
the things.
Yes. It was just a natural progression of my day.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I had to like really think about and really push for and like fight through. It just happens,
Mhm.
which is totally different. But
I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's modeling. Like
Yeah.
you're showing people that there is a way to do it
yeah.
and a way not to do it.
Right. Oh, but in order to be able to do that, we have to be really frank and open
Yeah.
about our situation, because that's how we learn. That's how we learned about what was going on with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and we're able to apply that to ourselves throughout.
Yeah.
And using that mirror as a way to better understand our own situations.
Right.
And that's kind of how the podcast was developed, was out of this
It was.
necessity for something deeper, something that wasn't just clinical, something experiential, and something that was like, can we be
Real.
right? Like live authentically.
Yeah.
And live authentically in front of the camera.
Right. Like, I'm going to throw a lot of shade here. I don't want to upset other YouTubers that are doing what we do. But
Well, it's very different. They're
I'm not-
different animals.
I don't sprinkle my life with positivity to make myself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that a lot, is like they're modeling how they can function. Like it serves a purpose for people that need it.
Right.
It's just not what I need.
Yes.
And it makes me, I don't know, puts me in a weird position when I'm watching them. So I'm like, I don't attack it from this angle. I'm not like, oh, everything's great, everything's fine. I'm like, life sucks and is hard.
Yeah.
I am sorry, guys.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
But that's the thing, is like, I think it's just a step before toxic positivity.
Toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Because there are
Toxic positivity.
well, and there are people that are genuinely just outgoing and bright.
Yes.
Like I think, oh God, Dre of
Dre,
Sunshine.
uh-huh.
I buy her. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I watch her stuff and I'm like, oh, she's authentically just a great girl. Like she's
Yeah.
happy and outgoing.
Right.
And then there's the people that are like, today I woke up and I took my supplements and my kids, they made a silly little mess. And like you see the like
Yeah.
the under the cracks of everything. You're like,
Uh-huh.
stop, please stop. I hate this.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why, like, we didn't go the scripted route on purpose.
Right. Oh no.
We were like, I'm gonna show you guys, for those of you who don't know. This is the whole planning for the whole episode.
It was done this morning.
Is it. This is what we do to get ourselves into what we're talking about. We
Yep.
like come up with our topic. We outline the things that we want to hit, the angles we want to kind of attack it from,
Mhm.
and then we fill in the rest with conversation.
Yep.
Because that's how we can be authentic, and that's how we can model that authenticity and really be able to show people that they're not alone in these experiences. They're
Right.
not, I don't want to say they're not unique experiences, because they're
are.
unique to you,
Yeah.
right? But you're not the only person who has ever gone through that thing.
Right.
And if we all were more open about the things that we do go through, because that's the thing, a lot of media is focused on this, like, well, let's be positive and push through it, and here's how to mask, and here's how to blah 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 blah, or like, it's all very keep it all kind of in the shadows because nobody is comfortable with hearing about how much it sucks.
Right.
When in reality, we're like, no, I need to hear that it sucks from other people, because then I don't feel inadequate going, oh my God, I can't do this in a positive way, and therefore there's something wrong with me. Exactly. When in reality, it's media.
Right.
Right? Like, it's not real. It's not the true view of what's going on.
Mm-mm.
And so for you guys and for this, like, this is a slice of our life.
Yeah. We've just kind of decided that we were going to throw it all out there.
Right.
Like in the beginning, we were so like, we were curious how we were going to do it.
Yes.
There was the era of, I want to say this thing, but I don't know if that's going to overstep a boundary somehow.
Yeah.
And then we got to season 3, and we were just like, it doesn't matter. It's better to just be open.
Yeah.
And we've cultivated a community that's like that. It's like the Discord.
Yeah.
A lot of people will come in, and even guests that we've had on, they come in and like, oh, it just felt like home. Like it was, we're open.
It's just a conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that's like a safe space for people.
Yeah.
And
There's
we've modeled
pressure to be anything but what you are.
Right.
And what you are in that moment too. Like, you are allowed to be in that moment, and that's okay. And I think I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back here for a second. I think we do a good job of looking at different angles of issues, and we do a good job of rounding back to, okay, but how do we be functional while going, this really sucks and everything about it kind of is horrible and terrible, but also here's how to live.
Right.
Here's how we get through life on this.
Yeah. Like, well, even if it's not like that helps, it usually leads someone to the thought process that leads them to what they need.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like planting a seed. Like, have you tried something like this? Which usually, like, we've heard it from Ruth. Yeah. We'll say something and Ruth will be like, no, but it made me think of this one thing. Right. And you're like, oh, well, perfect. Great. Right. We were able to do that.
Yeah. They're just different thought avenues that we can open doors to. And that's really all that we set out to do, is to be like, hey, guess what? You're not alone and everyone is suffering.
Yeah. Well, and we've learned it. Like,
yes.
We started out, we were just us and like 20 people that were our friends watching us.
Right. Angry because we were alone suffering.
Yeah. Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
There's anger there.
Oh, yes.
I'm so passive aggressive.
just a wee bit.
A little bit.
Just a wee bit. But that was the mission throughout the whole thing, was to expose the suffering in the world so that we could see that we are not suffering alone. We are not alone. We don't have to be alone. And we model that explicit communication through, like, being able to say, no, it sucks. It really, really sucks. It's not fun. Nobody's having a good time here.
No. I mean, we say it during the podcast. Like, when we hit the wall, we let you guys know that we hit the wall. Like, you can watch it. We did whole episodes that were just bad because we didn't want to do them. Like, we were not feeling great that day, but we're like, they need to see that. Well,
there were whole episodes during, like, the first era of trigeminal neuralgia where there's just pauses of me being like,
and awkward me being like, how do I surgically remove her nerves? Can I just denerve her?
Yeah. Denerve me. Denerve me and debone me. Thank you.
I will be a flesh puppet.
A flesh puppet with no nerves.
That's my hand. Where are the bones? Anyways, that was for her. Adventure Time. Look it up.
No bones. Yeah. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of nuance to living with chronic illness.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nuance to being like a support structure for other people with chronic illness.
Well, it comes with like an extra layer of like trust you have to earn.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how they're handling, like when you have two chronically ill people and they want to help each other.
Yeah.
They don't know where the other one's at.
Right.
And they don't want to step on them, like slight them or make them feel like lesser than, or like
right, or to like to like put your issues ahead of their own,
right? Because
nobody's communicating and we don't know, and you're like, they're going through hell, but I'm also here like, my hand.
Yeah. What's funny too is that like in the beginning days, we'd have these really big conversations that were like podcast long, but whatever.
Yeah.
And we would You would be like, oh, I had this really bad thing. Like, I can't be specific, but I remember and then I'd be like, oh yeah, but also look at this. Look at this little thing. And it wasn't like competitive. It was just like, oh, that reminded me of this little tiny thing that annoys me.
Right.
And you were like, yeah, but I have cancer, Chris. It's like, yeah, but it twitches. Ain't that something?
Ain't that something?
And she's over here like, I have 3 weeks.
I'm dying as we speak.
Well, at least you were explicit.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah. But that's really the memo here is like model explicit communication.
Yeah.
Model that authenticity. Model taking the mask off and give other people a chance to take theirs off as well.
Right.
Because I think that's really what it is that we're all walking around looking for that relation to other people, but nobody, like, we're all terrified, right? So nobody wants to take that mask off first.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really just takes that first person going, you know what? I'm tired of wearing this. I'm tired of wearing this. And then other people can follow suit and feel more comfortable to be more authentic in life. Because
absolutely.
Living in a society that
earlier
demands productivity.
Yeah. It's like what you were saying earlier before break about you present the thing. Yeah. You don't shove it down their throat. Mm-hmm. You're like, here's my point of view and my experience. And you lay it out there. Yeah. You're not like, twisting it, making, oh, but it was so bad. That was the worst. Yeah. You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
You just wouldn't get it.
You have no idea.
But, if you're open and you make them feel safe and they're safe.
Yes. Well, and like you said, it's if we can crush that first impulse of like comparative suffering, interactions are so much easier. And then we don't have people second guessing what they want to say. Right. And what they need support with and what they want support with.
So what I'm going to propose then is like a new internationally understood greeting for chronically ill people. Uh-huh. You approach someone who is a chronically ill. You're like, are you invisible? And they go, yeah. And then you go, tumor on my back, bad knees, fevers all the time. And then they do the same. They're like, bad wrist,
it's
fella's
like
kid.
Fish.
Don't know you.
Don't know you. Scared of you yelling at me.
And then you're like, oh, okay. You lay it all out there right at the get-go. No comparative suffering.
Right there.
If you're just like, here's my cards. It's me, man.
Nobody wins.
You interested?
Just throw them into the ceiling fan.
Good day.
Good day. And be gone.
No, well, if he doesn't want to, if you're not vibing together. If they had the wrong cards.
Right. Well, it's hard.
You visible?
Society. You visible?
You visible?
Because society wants us to not talk about it.
Right.
Society's like, ew, gross. Don't be chronically ill where I can see you. Save that for your own house.
No, you forgot the performative part. There's the don't be gross and ill, but then if you're in public and you're gross and ill, I'm
Stop.
how you're so young. How could such a bad thing happen to such a good person?
Oh, I hate.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll find a cure one day. You just never know, though. Like, don't give up hope.
That bothers me so much, man.
Don't give up hope. Science is advancing, Chris.
It is, but I also don't need that to make my life happy. I don't need there to be a cure.
Right. Like, I'm not hanging on for the hope of a cure. Stop it.
They
it's
are
rude.
because they don't have the experience that we do. But
well, because that's the other part that we have recently understood is that, well, people don't get when you say everything sucks, I'm on fire, but it's fine.
It really messes with them. Yeah. It really does.
It's not like here's a peek under the mask and then put it back. It's this is my daily life. I'm on fire in these specific ways today. I don't feel very good, but I'm here and I'm ready to go.
I do it with the kids a lot because they'll ask, they'll be like, how are you doing today? I'm like, not good. Doing bad. Yeah. And they're like, do you need anything? No, I'm good. I'm fine.
I'm good. We're fine.
I'm good.
Fine. Yeah. Because they're like, excuse me, how can you be horrible and okay? Yeah. And you're like, but you can. Because there's a duality to everything. Yep. Living chronically ill sucks. But you know what? It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Whatever. We have a Discord with cool people. We have friends. Think about it. We've been friends with some of these people for like 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
We're almost coming up
They're
on the third year.
The best humans. I love them so much.
We love
I
all of
love
you.
you guys a
Yeah.
lot. And there's nothing you can do about it. So there.
Yeah. Just send us a bunch of messages. Just love Bomber into
Not
oblivion.
me, him.
No,
He
don't
needs
do it
it.
to me. I have self-confidence. I believe in myself. Please don't do it.
Compliments. Desensitize.
Desensitize me so that I become a shallow husk
This
of a
is
man.
exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Face your
Do
fear.
you want me to have an ego? Nobody wants that for me. I don't want that for me. Please don't.
Can you imagine having an ego?
I was thinking the same thing. Like in sync with as you're saying. I'm like, could you imagine?
Could you imagine having an ego? Gross.
Ugh.
No. But in reality, like, you are allowed to live exactly how you are. Like, you show up exactly the way you are without feeling shamed into playing a part.
Right.
And if we can live that way, we can model it for other people and invite them to also live authentically and mask less. And spend fewer spoons masking, because, man, masks are expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Oh my God. I still to this day get like angry if I am ever asked to go somewhere and do something that requires masking.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I need you to meet my 74-year-old great grand aunt who hates everything you stand for, but also play nice. You're like, no.
So what are we going to talk about? Cheese? Does she hates cheese too?
She's going to be like, ugh, you're brown. What happened to you? I'm going to be like, I was born.
I love that I got the actual opposite response genuinely out of Pedro that one time.
Why you white, bro?
Literally, he looked at my dad, he looked at you, and he looks at me and he goes, why are you white? There was a deviation in the formula and I didn't come out right.
He got the blue eyes. It's a weird mod.
Weird mod. I'm just like hacking over here.
Special mod.
Firstborn, I got dibs on all the cool stuff. I was like, I want that, and that. Oh, but it comes with EDS. I don't know what that is. Sounds fun. Would you like to have some tumors? Sure. Am I pretty? That was it.
I can relate to that, actually. You're like, oh, but I'm good looking, apparently.
Yeah.
My body wants to kill me, but it's attractive to others.
He has such good skin.
So I guess it's fine.
Said the nurse to the unconscious person.
No.
Rubbing
to
and
the
caressing
sister
me.
who she thought was also like in some weird 3-way marriage.
She fanficked us pretty hard and pretty quickly.
It's because she was like, she wanted you to be available so hard.
Nah, I'm not. I'm taken.
She was just like, your brother's gorgeous. And I was like,
I took a sample of his skin.
You're
Wait,
weird.
what?
You
This is
were
like
a weird lady.
Patch missing. Like, I needed that. Give it back, please. Rude.
Back. Give me my skin back.
Thank you. Fall over. It's time to go. She's getting silly.
I'm getting silly. Ooh, my husband just kicked a light.
No, that's his.
Ooh,
Hey,
belligerent.
listen,
Ooh.
listen, Linda, honey, listen, Linda, honey, listen, Linda. He was giving us the sign that it's time to go. That was a
goodbye,
discreet
everybody.
message that you just totally destroyed. BTS shit. I tell you not to give away the behind the scenes. They'll know too much. Oh wait, we're being explicit. My bad.
No masks here.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're tired, and we've been sick, and it's silly time.
Yeah.
And I've
It's
been
been
awake
fun,
and upright too long.
And it's been real.
Yeah.
But be kind to you. Be kind to others. And I will see you in the next one.
Bye.
You want to do a real one?
No.
You
That was
wanted to
it.
leave sad?
That's it.
Great. Now I'm a monster. The whole fandom is going to turn on me
No,
now.
ready? We'll just do it together. Ready?
Okay,
Okay.
I'll try. I can't do it. I always try to do it with you, but then I'm always scared. I don't know why.
All right, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you. If you found value in this, please like, share, subscribe, drop us a comment, and join the Discord because we want to talk to you.
True. Very true.
Forever and never let you go. I'm tired.
She's singing.
Yeah.
She's in pain.
It's time. It's time. All right, my friends. Be kind to you. Be kind to others. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Good job.
I did it.
You did it.
I also stream sniped you one.
Yeah.
Snuck in there. I was
Dang.
like, take it.
He was like, bam.
Little shiv. Take that. I'll stab you again. Right in the feels.